Hello, Star Wars fans. Today will be my Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 8 reaction video, as well as some discussion about the potential future direction for Din Djarin and Din Grogu. It was a great finale to the season, so let's dive right in and see what we can find out. All right, so I guess it appears there wasn't another spy. I mean, the internet was ablaze over the past week of who could be the other spy, because the last episode was titled The Spies, and obviously Elia Kane was one of those spies. However, I really strongly felt that there was no way it could be the Armorer or Axe Woves, because we saw in the last episode that Moff Gideon himself was confused at the idea that he learned from Elia Kane that the Mandalorian factions would be working together. Well, how could he not know they're working together if the Armorer was his spy, because she was obviously trying to get them to work together, or even Axe, who may not have wanted to work with Bo, but still ultimately submitted to her leadership and the Darksaber. So I was pretty sure it wasn't them. Nonetheless, I do feel like the episode was teasing us, because there were points where you were like, oh, I'm not trusting Axe right now. I mean, when he told everybody to get off the ship and he would take over, even some of his crew was looking back at him like, what are you doing? What is up? It was kind of like us, the fans, looking back going, this looks a little sus. But nope, he was a hero, so Axe wasn't the spy. And there was a point where the Armorer could have had a chance to break bad. I mean, when she came over the comms and said, Lady Kryze, your reinforcements have arrived, I was waiting for her to finish by saying, and we're going to wipe you out, because I'm the spy. Nope, Armorer wasn't the spy either. But again, I really didn't think it could be the Armorer or Axe. My bet was it was these pirates, quote-unquote pirates, right? I mean, living on the planet all this time, come on. And when they were leading Bo and them down through the caves, I thought, this is a trap. Come on, this is so obviously a trap. You're going to get... Oh, it's not a trap. Huh. Okay. I mean, it was nice to see that the planet wasn't in a hopeless state, and that was great. But come on. Favreau, you got to explain this. How did these pirates live on this planet the entire time and not know Moff Gideon was building an evil lair inside the heart of the planet? I don't know. I don't know. So I admit it. I was wrong. I really thought it was these spies. But in fairness, they've not explained that. I want Bo to go, you guys got to fess up. Are you deaf? Are you literally just deaf? How did you not hear this? But anyway, it was very cool to see the planet is not hopeless and can sustain life. And I'll be honest, it really reminded me of the end of WALL-E, which if you haven't seen WALL-E, go see it. It's really good. But remember, at the end of that, they realized that Earth, which they had left all this time because they thought they had destroyed it, nope, it had the ability to sustain life once again, and they could bring everything back. So, you know, it's another Disney movie, kind of a Disney ending, right, for Mandalorian to go the same direction. But very cool to know that life will live on. Very cool. All right, so awesome to see Bo lead the charge for the final fight. Let's take back our planet. And man, did she look awesome with that Darksaber flying into battle. I mean, this is like everything we saw in the Clone Wars, only in live action. And in Rebels too, but especially in both of them. To see it alive, just Mandalorian mass battle was amazing. She was epic. She was just epic. Such a great way to use the Darksaber in combat. Just crushing people. It's a little hard to focus on this at first, but notice she's swinging down and I'm assuming cutting in two a dude. It's kind of funny that the gold is splattering everywhere like blood. Kind of reminds me of Love and Thunder, right? Where they killed all those people in the pleasure planet of the gods, but they all just spattered gold blood. But actually, this is sparks, obviously. But yeah, she just decimated that dude. And then this dude, that's about as far as you can go with a PG-13 show. But he ain't coming back from this one. That was right through the heart, right through the heart. So yeah, Bo was amazing with the Darksaber. But I also loved the Armorer declaring hammer time. Now, if they had kept on this scene, this guy was about to be separated from his skull. I mean, they show her swinging down, but they don't show the result. But yeah, it was not pretty. It was not pretty. And then this is cool too. This time, it's not Bo causing this. Notice Bo's Darksaber's behind her, up in the air. This is the Armorer creating sparks as she's crushing somebody with the hammer. And then here again, just demolishing this dude. I love the fact that she goes into combat with that hammer and just wreaks havoc. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And now they did a really good job of cutting between scenes. I'm going to focus on particular things the whole way through, but this episode was very well directed, and they just cut back and forth between all these different battles. It was awesome. But anyway, sticking with Din for the moment, Din was captured. Now, I don't know what they were thinking to only have 2 guards on him. I mean, granted, he's fully restrained. He can't even move his arms. But this is Din Djarin, dudes. And yes, he does manage to escape, even though his hands are still tied together. He uses this dude's flamethrower to torch the other guy. Brilliant move. Brilliant move. But bottom line, he is still weaponless, and his arms are tied, so we need Grogu to come into the rescue. And yes, Grogu does demolish these dudes with the IG-12 suit, which is awesome. Although, I'll be honest, I couldn't quite figure out how he was able to press the no button at the same time he's fully controlling IG-12. That's an impressive joystick that just moving it to the left and the right animates the entire skeletal robot remains. But nonetheless, it was still cool to have him screaming no through the voice modulator while he was demolishing the guards. Awesome. And I love when Din realizes we got to take this dude out. If we don't take him out, it's never going to end. So you kind of knew this was going to be the big showdown. And then I love that Mando enters what I'm calling the challenge round. I mean, this felt like a video game, but that's okay. I did not mind it at all because it was so very cool. With all the different shields. Also, it reminded you, obviously, of the first episode of the prequel trilogy, right? Phantom Menace. But totally this was like a video game round because he's weaponless, right? Well, earlier he had picked up a jetpack, so he's slowly building his arsenal from all the fallen troops. Then he takes out a dude and grabs his knife. He's getting his knife out of his boot pocket there, uses the knife to take out a dude, tries to get that knife in time before that dude falls off the ledge. Nope, can't get to it in time, but that's okay because I took out this other guy. I'll get his knife. So gets another knife, then picks up a boomstick. The boomsticks were awesome. Uses the boomstick to take on another guy. After he demolishes him, picks up a shield, uses that to take out another guy, picks up his blaster, obviously uses the blaster to take out another guy. Now, by this time, there's so much blaster fire, there's so much smoke, that when the final little shield dealie is taken down, he comes flying out through the smoke, slides across the ground, wipes those dudes out, grabs another blaster, and finishes off the rest of them. Unbelievable. Challenge round completed. I mean, it was. You were basically watching a video game, but I did not mind it one bit. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I don't want to leave out one of the most important players in this video game. That would be R5, who was channeling R2 by connecting in to the evil lair, Moff's evil lair, and taking over the controls so he could shut down the shields. But I do have to crack up. When is the Empire going to learn to stop making ports that the droids can hook into? You're not helping anything when you continue to allow them to get in. I mean, the iPhone changes the stupid charging ports like every release, for goodness sake, and you got to keep buying new chargers. Why can't the Empire create new things so these little droids can't get in? But hey, then they couldn't do cool stuff like this, right? So I'm good. It's all good. Then I love the little mouse droid coming to bug him. Those stupid mouse droids. Very happy to see the mouse droid get zapped there. And I do have to ask, what is the actual functional purpose for that little device on R5? And R2 has one too, other than zapping mouse droids. I mean, does it really? I mean, I guess you're welding things with it. I don't know. I don't know what the actual purpose is, but he used it very well to hit that annoying mouse droid. Then, of course, a ton of mouse droids come after him, and this is epic. So he starts to fly away, right? Notice, one of them falls off immediately. Look down on the lower portion there. He's already fallen off the edge. And then, as R5 continues to blast off, another one falls off the edge. So 2 of them take the long dive. Wonder when they're finally going to put up guardrails in these evil lairs. The Empire has something against guardrails, clearly. They're not OSHA approved. I'm telling you, these evil lairs are not OSHA approved. All right. So anyway, R5, dude, you rocked. Well done. All right. So we finally do learn what Gideon has been up to really since season 1. Episode 1 of season 1, in fact, where he's trying to get Grogu's blood. He's creating clones. Very sneaky, right? Because last episode, remember, he told the Shadow Council, "Oh, I'm not doing cloning. That's your thing." Well, not necessarily true, right? He's been using Dr. Pershing's information to create his clones. And in fact, he really gave us a big hint last episode when he said the most impressive improvement is that it has me in it. Now, I admit I thought he was talking about his suit, but no, he's talking about his new his new army. They're going to be clones of him. Very sneaky, very sneaky. And of course, we get the little horror shot, right? Where the eyes are closed, and you knew it was coming, but it still was scary, right? It still was scary. I mean, that's just creepy, right? I can't stop doing it. I'm sorry, I can't stop. Anyway, really creepy. But notice, I've seen a lot of people talking about this. In fact, the Discord server that you can join, I'll mention that again at the end of the video, but the Discord server talked about this too. Notice, no mustache, right? No mustache on that clone. Yet, Season 1, mustache. Season 2, mustache. And now Season 3, the final Moth battle, no mustache. So, I mean, are they making a hint here that Moff finally got the clue of why do I keep going into battle? I don't need to. I have clones. So maybe this was his first clone experiment, and he's not actually the one that was killed. The real Moff is off somewhere else. Interesting, right? Let me know in the comments what you think. It's very suspicious. I mean, for him to have that mustache for 2 seasons and then to not have it. Interesting. Anyway, say goodbye to the clones. Goodbye. So maybe one of the clones was in the armor fighting Din later, but certainly these clones are done. Goodbye. So speaking of this final showdown with Gideon, one thing I thought was interesting is he started to monologue. Every evil bad guy's got a monologue. And I was sitting there thinking, why doesn't Din just reach around the corner and shoot him in the head? I mean, and he does reach around the corner and shoot at him, ultimately, but he shoots at his chest. And I'm like, oh, come on, Din. You're a really good shot, dude. Shoot him in the head right in the middle of the monologue. But that'd have been no fun, right? We got to have the big fight. So Din comes flying in with the jetpack, trying to knock him down. No. Not only does he not knock Gideon down, Gideon hurls him across the floor. And then in the middle of the battle, boom, stops him with mid-swing. And, you could hear the mechanics of his suit going. You could tell this was not just Beskar armor. This was like, well, Iron Man, right? I mean, it only makes sense. Favreau wrote the first Iron Man and directed. Of course, he writes this too, so he's going to make an Iron Man suit. This suit was really, really strong. I mean, Din was no match for him. That's the bottom line. So then, as though it wasn't bad enough, in come the Praetorian guards. These guys kick butt, so not looking good. Now, they end up taking off after Grogu, and I got a little worried. For Grogu. I mean, those dudes against him, even with his force powers, that's not a fair fight. And then Din comes in, because Bo ends up, we'll get to in a second, Bo ends up fighting Gideon. But Din comes in, and it doesn't look too good for him either. And I'll be honest, I began to wonder if we might lose Din in this season finale. The episodes have been kind of moving to other Mandalorians. There were articles where Favreau was saying, hey, the title Mandalorian doesn't just mean Din. It could mean Bo. It could mean eventually Grogu. Plus, there were all these rumors out there. And they were just rumors that Pedro Pascal was unhappy with the Mandalorian direction. He might leave the show. I was really scared that he might die. Now, granted, even with that, I did still feel like this battle went a little quicker than it maybe should have. I could have handled another 5 minutes of this battle because these guys are supposed to be really good. But I was still very scared the entire time for Din. So it was very well done. And also keep in mind that the guards, as powerful as they are, were fighting Grogu with his force powers and Din, who is an expert fighter and now actually had weapons to use. But still, I thought it was a little fast, a little too easy. But nonetheless, great battle. But the premier battle was Bo versus Gideon. I mean, when you think about the fact that really since we learned that Gideon had defeated her, and then we learned, no, she actually surrendered, and he reneged on the surrendering and attacked anyway and destroyed the planet, this had been building and building and building. So awesome fight. Really, really cool. And then he pulls out his massive boomstick, only this one with, I'm assuming, made out of Beskar. So, yeah, very, very powerful. But fantastic fight. Love to see the Darksaber anytime in combat. It is just so stinking cool. They just wailed against each other. But R.I.P. Darksaber. This was a tough moment for me. I really, really love the Darksaber, and seeing it get demolished, oh, such a sad moment. Such a sad moment. I love that thing. And, I guess it's for the best. It was destroyed. It caused nothing but trouble for Mandalore. They were constantly fighting over it. So many ridiculous rules on how you win it in combat and who is in charge of Mandalore, on and on and on. It's been nothing but a division for the Mandalorians, a divisive object. But still, oh, that was tough. That was tough. Nonetheless, finally, we get to the epic takedown of the base. I mean, it's not Star Wars if you don't have a gigantonormic ship crashing into something else. In this case, it's the evil lair. And oh my goodness, these shots were so cool. I mean, that is so cool. Now, granted, I did have to crack up a bit because I'm like, Axe, you kind of got to give people a little bit more warning. He just pretty much said, hey, coming in hot, clear out. Well, what if they couldn't have cleared out? What if they were trapped under rubble or I don't know what? No warning. He just sends it down. But nonetheless, very, very cool. And let's face it, there's no way this version, at least, of Gideon made it through, right? I mean, I know he's in Beskar armor, but that's going to incinerate him. He's going to be torched inside that. So who knows? I'm guessing this one is dead. Let me know in the comments what you think, but I'm assuming he's dead. The question is, was he the real Gideon? So, we'll see, right? And then I love this, Grogu to the rescue. This was very similar to Kanan in Rebels, how he did the same thing. And in its own strange way, it kind of reminded me of Groot in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, protecting everyone. So yeah, very, very cool to see Grogu using his full powers on display there, force powers on display, and of course, the little guy's tuckered out. But notice, he didn't pass out. Before he would be so weak he fell asleep or just looked like he was going to take a long nap. Nope, he just kind of plunked down. He was tired, very tired, but not passed out. So he is becoming more and more powerful. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. All right, so things come full circle with Paz Vizsla's son. Remember, in the first episode, they had started the Creed, and he just didn't get it finished before that giant crazy monster attacked everyone. Well, now they get to finish it. Oh, without Paz to be there, though, he'd have been so proud. He'd been so proud of his son. But, they didn't really talk about who has adopted him. That's interesting. I'm sure somebody did, though. I'm sure somebody did. But yeah, very, very cool to see that come full circle. And then also, speaking of adopting, for Din to officially adopt Grogu. And now for him to be named Din Grogu. I did not realize Din was the last name, was Din Djarin's. So it's really Djarin. I guess Djarin is his name. Didn't realize that, but that's kind of cool. And now Grogu is an official Mandalorian apprentice. Love it. And then as the armorer said, now you got to leave Mandalore and take your apprentice on journeys just as your master did for you. So very cool, very cool. So that's kind of setting up, future adventures for Din and Grogu. And then I love it. We got this little hint that Grogu and the Mythosaur might have formed a link. Now, I know I had certainly assumed that the Mythosaur was going to play a big role in the final battle. I was hoping someone was going to be riding into the battle. Clearly, they're saving that for later, which is fine. As long as we get there eventually, I'm fine. But I like the fact that Grogu seems to, have that bond as we've seen him have with other nature and other animals. So very cool, very cool. And then, of course, the lighting of the Great Forge restored Mandalore's spirit. That had been a big deal. They've been talking about this forever. And to finally see that and to finally see all of Mandalore uniting was pretty darn cool. Now, it was weird not to see Bo hold up the Darksaber, because obviously it's destroyed. And I would have actually found it interesting if she talked to them about, hey, it's been destroyed. We don't have that anymore, and we don't need it anymore. Mandalore is united, and united because we're together. We're together, finally. And that that was a symbol of a bygone era. So it would have been an interesting little speech for her to give, but I'm assuming she explained it ultimately, and they know the situation. But still, very cool to see everybody together. Kind of brought this whole Mandalorian story to a nice conclusion. Not that there isn't more to tell, but I mean, it brought all the different plot lines together. Very cool, very cool. Then we get our little Dave Filoni cameo. You can see him there in the hat. He's kind of pulling a little Stan Lee action, doing a cameo. Or if you go way back, Alfred Hitchcock, who was in basically every one of his movies, made an appearance. And then we learn that Din is going to become an independent contractor. I like his point that, they don't, the New Republic can't necessarily protect everywhere, particularly the Outer Rim, and let him do that. And of course, it's like, you're going to work for the New Republic? But he's like, well, hold on a case-by-case basis. Case-by-case basis. So pretty cool. Kind of puts him back into his bounty hunter status, where we started with the first episode. But now he's got little Grogu. In fact, it really reminds me a bit of the ending of Love and Thunder. I've gone on record saying that's not my favorite movie, not my favorite Marvel movie, but I really did love the ending of Thor and Little Love teaming up together. So this, in its own way, this is like the same thing. You got Mando and Little Grogu teaming up together. So very cool. And then Din, of course, says he needs one thing. He wants that head of an IG droid, so that we can finally get IG-11 to return. And now he is the new Marshal. Very cool. Very cool. That, again, everything's coming full circle, right? And then, as had been promised earlier in this season, way back in episode 1, Din gets his happy ending with a place to stay, and little Grogu gets his happy ending with a frog. He does put the frog back in the lake, but I'm betting as soon as Din goes inside, he's eating that thing. He's eating that thing. So anyway, very cool. And of course, we get the little Star Wars ending with the little closed-in camera iris shot. But it leads to the question, when will we see him again? And where will we see him again? I mean, surely he'll be back. That's a no-brainer. But where and when? So let's move to our timeline. And I've continued to update this and clean it up along the way. And also, I did ask in the previous video if there was any changes people thought I should make. And one of them, in particular, I felt like the rise of the First Order, so in the upper right there, that it just didn't make sense for it to only be 2 years, 34 to 35 ABY, and for the New Republic to be from 5 to 34. But I didn't really know where I would put a breaking point. What would I choose as the time to delineate if it's not 34 to 35? Well, I want to thank Simon, because Simon gave his advice of switching it to 5 to 28 ABY and then 28 to 35 ABY. And his reasoning he gave was that the Rise of the First Order era, he feels, begins 6 years before The Force Awakens, so therefore 28 ABY, with Ben Solo becoming Kylo Ren and burning Luke's temple. And he feels that that's really the point when the First Order really started to be a threat to the galaxy and make some power grabs. I like that. That makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, I'm all for that. Let me know if you have any thoughts on it. But thank you, Simon. I think that's I'm going with that for now until we know anything different. Also, I want to thank Mitchell Abercrombie for pointing out that I left out the Young Jedi Adventures. That's coming out soon. Maybe it's aimed at a more younger audience, but I'm assuming it's canon. We'll see whether they put it in the timeline. And what I've seen and what Mitchell also mentioned is it's around 100 years before The Acolyte, so it's at 232 BBY. So that's pretty cool. We're going to get a couple different adventures in the High Republic era. So anyway, a couple updates there to the timeline. Let me know if there's any others you think I should make. At least it helps me to have this all laid out, because there's so much going on and we're jumping around to so many different eras. So to see it all like this is really helpful. But, so back to this point, when will we see Mandalorian again? I mean, you could argue if they finished and never did another season, this kind of wrapped everything up, Really, any open plot lines are going to be carried into Ahsoka and the Filoni movie coming up. So we've kind of got this era here that they're really dealing a lot with. And of course, we have Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, and the Filoni movie to come out. And I've been told the Filoni movie is probably 2026 timeframe, because the Rey movie in 50 ABY after the sequel trilogy, that is 2025 they're shooting for, so in the next couple years, which that's pushing it, but still, in the next couple years, Filoni's would be 2026, and then the Mangold movie in the Dawn of the Jedi era would be 2027-ish. So the Filoni movie, in other words, may be around 3 years. Well, we've got Ahsoka coming, Skeleton Crew. There's time for another season of Mandalorian in there. So my guess is we will get a season 4 where we see him being the independent contractor. But let me know what you think. Do you think we're going to get a season 4? And would it be before or after the Filoni movie? And is it possible that after the Filoni movie, we go back and then we get an Ahsoka season 2 and a Mandalorian season 4? Maybe even more Boba Fett. So let me know what you think. I'm really curious, but I'm very excited for the future of Star Wars. So many good things to look forward to. So I hope you enjoyed this season. I enjoyed this season. It wasn't my favorite, but it wasn't a bad season. I mean, some of the other seasons, first and second, I liked better, but I really liked this season. So let me know what you think overall about the season. And thank you for tuning into these videos, leaving your comments. I love it. I think you've seen I respond to every single comment. I read them all and reply. And then also, as I mention all the time, we do have a Discord server. In fact, notice we were talking literally earlier today about the mustache controversy. So please consider joining the Discord server if you're interested. I will leave a pinned comment that has a link to the server, and you can join. And there's people across the globe, all time zones. So always conversations happening. And then also, if you don't mind, like this video, subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out more content, and we can all continue to enjoy the next generation of Star Wars.